Hi, and welcome back. Today we are welcoming Paul Dobson into the team here at Eden Scott. Eden Scott's continuing to grow. We are continuing to expand and recruiting new people into the team. As I say, we've got Paul Dobson with us today. Hi, welcome, Paul.
Hi, Ewan.
Good to have you on board. So, Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience in recruitment, the kind of sectors you've covered, the countries that you've worked in?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been working within recruitment for about 12 years now. 11 of that were in my previous company, who I left when I left Australia just recently. So I was in Australia for the last 6 years, and prior to that, I was working in Leeds in England for 5 years with this company. Prior to that, I was with Hayes for my first 7 months of my recruitment life. So I think I've ticked that box, which most people do. So the sectors that I've been recruiting in, predominantly when I was in Australia, I was recruiting within the manufacturing and food and beverage marketplaces, but predominantly working with OEMs of equipment that are being provided to those spaces. So that would be things like packaging and processing machinery, automation and robotics. A lot of that went into food manufacturing and processing, but also into the warehousing and logistics space as well. Prior to that, when I was working in the UK, I did a lot within the oil and gas and industrial markets, which they weren't quite as prevalent over in Australia. So I diversified and moved into something that was a bit more, profitable in the Australian market.
Good stuff. That sounds some great experience to bring to the company. So do you want to tell us why you've decided to join Eden Scott? And what sectors you'll be covering when you come to work for us?
Absolutely. So I did a little bit of research from Australia when I decided to move back to the UK. My fiance is from Scotland. She's actually from Aberdeen, and we were planning on moving to Edinburgh. So I had a look online and did some research about some reputable recruitment businesses here in Edinburgh. And at the top of the search, so good job, Ewan, at the top of the search for optimization, Eden Scott came up, and I really didn't want to work for a large multinational corporate type recruitment business. My previous company weren't like that, and I really enjoyed that environment. So I wanted to work for a more specialized company who would be able to complement my experience. When I went onto Eden Scott's website, I noticed that they had a team that were focused on in manufacturing and industrial marketplaces, but not necessarily on the OEM side, which is what I do. So I thought there was a potential opportunity there to add value to Eden Scott, but also it looked like a business that would be sort of ticking the boxes from my perspective when it comes to the size and scale of the business and the core values of a smaller organization, but not a boutique, tiny little 1 or 2 person company.
Sure. So what do you think you're going to bring to the company? What do you want to achieve with this? But what are you bringing in terms of qualities to the business?
Well, so during my journey through recruitment so far, I've been a sole contributor, principal consultant, and then moved into managing a team and developing a division for my previous company in Australia. That's something that I really enjoyed, being able to take my experiences as a recruitment consultant and impart that knowledge onto new people within my team. So that's really something that I'm keen to replicate here with Eden Scott, coming in at associate director level, but with no real team or division to speak of, but with a mandate to sort of build out and grow from my own billings and my own relationships with some global organizations. I've also set up internationally. I've set up offices for my previous company. So I set up my division in Sydney and built that up to 7 people. We also set up an Adelaide office, which I was managing remotely, which we built up to, it's actually just turned into 4 people. It was 3 people when I left. So I quite like working in kind of businesses which have ambition to want to grow, and that kind of hopefully will marry with my ambition as well.
Brilliant. Well, so obviously it's not all about work. So what sort of things do you like to get up to outside work? What sort of interests or hobbies do you have?
A new love of mine. I say new. It's not been a lifelong thing. Just really the last few years is golf. I'm very into my golf. Fortuitously in Australia, you can play year round.
Yeah.
I actually left Australia. I left Sydney a couple of months ago now, about 6 weeks ago, and it was their middle of their winter, and I was playing. It was 25 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. I came back and my first game in London when I arrived was within 3 or 4 days of arriving in the UK, and let's just say it absolutely pissed it down for pretty much all 18 holes. I was soaking wet, and it was supposedly the middle of summer. So I'm sure Scotland's weather's better though than
much better. Never rains here now.
Nah, cool. So I love playing golf. Myself and my fiance are very much into watching movies. We love going to cinema and also theatre. We love going to musicals and shows and things whenever we can. Living in Australia, you don't get that many opportunities, and that's something I'm really excited about, being in Edinburgh, of course, where the arts are such a big focal point.
That's great. Thanks, Paul. So if there's somebody out there looking for a job or somebody looking to recruit, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, Ewan, they can find me on the Eden Scott website, or if they want to send me an email. My email address is paul.dobson@edenscott.com.
Perfect. That's great. Thanks so much for your time, Paul.
No problem at all. Thanks, Ewan. Have a good day.